Blues win it on the road. Toronto does it as well. And I think back to a night that Toronto got run by Milwaukee. They were down 0-2, and I believe I said it was a wrap. After that, the Raptors went 8-2 against the best teams in the league, and they win the world title. I mentioned the respect for Golden State, and I understand the fatigue out there. So many that aren't fans of Golden State pushed back on the idea of this team and all this embarrassment of riches and all that they had. Well, as they see Looney go down but play through the injury, you heard Steve Kerr talk about it. Kevin Durant come back, then go down. Clay go down, come back, go down and leave this game. What Golden State had on the floor, and I say never underestimate the heart of a champion, it was on display. They gave themselves a chance in the end for one more shot to earn one more game. Had they gotten it, I have absolutely no idea what they would have had left in the tank. It would appear the answer was nothing. Doesn't matter. Steve Kerr was asked what would have happened if Clay doesn't go down. He said, doesn't matter. He went down, and that's true. And Toronto was the better team in this series throughout. They demonstrated that throughout. They earned the right to be called world champions, and they are. After a win on the road in the Oracle, they win by 4. Draymond Green saw hit that shot late. That made it a three-point game, had a rough game with turnovers. He's meeting with the media.
There's been an end-of-the-run air to a lot of the coverage and discussion even tonight. But some version of you guys is going to show up in the fall and step back out on the court. Will you be dragging an accumulation of wear and tear? What do you expect is next for your group?
Yeah, I think everybody thinks it's kind of end of us. That's just not smart. We're not done yet. We lost this year. Clearly, just wasn't our year. But it's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But yeah, I hear a lot of that noise. It's the end of a run and all that jazz. I don't see it happening though. We'll be back.
Final two questions in the front and then in the back here.
Draymond Tristacrick, USA Today. Just to go back on Clay, I don't know, I'd just be curious to know if you know this. Did you know he was doing jumping jacks in the tunnel and trying to run back and forth?
No, I didn't, but it does not shock me one bit. Clay he's crazy, to say the least. He loved to play basketball, and no matter what he's got, he's going to try to be out there on the floor. So it's not shocking at all. And I'm sure he tried to get back out there on the floor, and they just would not let him. And so, it sucks. Obviously, we're praying that everything is okay. But that's a tough one.
Last question, back right.
Hey, Draymond, Rick Tittle with 95.7 The Game and Sports Byline. Knowing that if you got another T, you were going to miss potential Game 7, did you adjust your game at all? Was it on your mind, or did you just play the same you always do?
No, it wasn't on my mind. I'm not an idiot. I know that I can't get another T, so I'm not really going to flirt that line. I think, if you look at, this entire year, there was a lot of noise about players and officiating and the back and forth, and I think over the course of the last 8 to 10 weeks, that all has been cleaned up. From both sides. Officials, I think, were a lot better in communicating with us, and I think players, in turn, showed the same respect to those guys. So, I had some conversations with officials today, but that's allowed. I think there's kind of this narrative of we don't work together. We all work together to put a great product out there on the floor and represent this league the way we all want it to be represented, as we all are part of the makeup of this league. So, I had conversations with officials, but yeah, I'm far from dumb as people think I am. I know I control myself a tad, just a little bit.
Thank you, Draymond.
Appreciate it.
You see, defeat the top seed in each conference. This is something that's not been done much. The last to do it, the 2002 Lakers, the only other team in the Eastern Conference to do it, the Bulls back in '93. So if you're going to make a splash, man, make a splash from way up high off the tallest building. And there's the look in Toronto. Passionate city and nation of Canada. Its first title in quite a while. And they'll be waiting to welcome their guys back home and celebrate together. Stephen A. Smith, as he has throughout the playoffs, kind enough to join me now, considering that First Take is an early morning show. I appreciate you being with me one last time. And Stephen A., through three quarters before Clay goes down, this was a spectacular basketball game. Both teams are shooting better than 50%. Neither can really separate itself from the other. Clay goes down, and then it felt like there was exhaustion. It felt like Steph was the focus of all the attention of Toronto, who did a great job, as Steve Kerr said. What was your sense of what would happen in that fourth quarter, given the way things kind of dissolved in terms of the level of play? What was your sense of how this would go?
Well, I just felt the outcome was inevitable once Klay Thompson went down. You knew that you would need more from Steph Curry. They did an exceptional job of really blitzing him and collapsing on him, getting the ball out of his hands on a lot of occasions. He ended up shooting 6 for 17 from the field for the evening, but at times they zoned him up, they boxed and won him. You know, they did those kind of things to get the ball out of his hands, but you sort of knew that one of the snipers for the Splash Brothers would get loose, and that clearly was the case with Klay Thompson. 30 points, 8 of 12 shoot from the field, all 10 of his free throws he made. He had 30 points in 31 minutes. With about 2 minutes and change left, he had 30 points in the third quarter. So I thought that he would explode. And the second that he went down, you were wondering where were they going to get the offense from. The Raptors were around. They were together. They were focused. They were poised all series long. And you just got the sense that this was just too much to overcome. KD being out, and then obviously for Klay Thompson to have this happen to him the very, very next game, it just spelled doom, and you could sense the inevitable would arrive.
Stephen A., this is a stars league, and Kawhi is a star. He showed it again. But you know what's mind-boggling to me? Fred VanVleet had 14 points in an entire series against Philadelphia. And when push came to shove, he shows out in the fourth quarter of a closeout game and makes the shot that gave him a lead. They never surrender. I'm curious what your sense is of a guy who's been saying bet on himself, and then that bet pays off.
Well, I just pay attention to Masai Ujiri. This guy assembled this squad, and just look at the personnel. It wasn't just VanVleet who came off the bench and produced. How about Ibaka? 6 blocks in game 3, 20 points in game 4. Shows up and gives you 15 points off the bench tonight. When you see that kind of production from these guys, from him and VanVleet off the bench, you see a Kyle Lowry who's in the midst of a 3-year, $100 million deal. He shows up on the court. At one time earlier this season, he had to have a sit-down meeting with Masai because things weren't going right. He wasn't getting along. He had a problem with the fact that DeMar DeRozan was gone. All of these other issues, but somehow, some way, they sat down, they resolved it. And what are we talking about here? Not just Kyle Lowry, the player, not just Kyle Lowry who showed up in the postseason better than he ever has, but Kyle Lowry, the leader. He wasn't just making shots earlier. He was feeding VanVleet.
Sure.
He was feeding Siakam and other guys. He was not just a scorer. He was a floor general. He was an extension of Nick Nurse on the basketball court. And then you look at a rookie coach in Nick Nurse. You get rid of the coach of the year in Dwayne Casey, who guided you to 59 wins. You bring in a guy that had never been an NBA head coach, and then you give him that job. And in his first year, he guides you through Philadelphia, through Milwaukee, when we thought they were done, and obviously took advantage of practically every opportunity that was presented to him. You just can't say enough about Masai Ujiri. This is one of the reasons why the Washington Wizards and basically any other team probably wants him as their president of basketball operations, because he bet on himself, he bet on his team, and obviously they came through for him.
Yeah, Woj is reporting that they're going to make a monstrous offer, they being the Wizards. And
they should.
Yep, Kyle.
And they should.
Listen, as a guy from D.C., I agree. Kyle Lowry's going to join us in a minute. And Stephen A., just looking at this Golden State team that's got a couple of guys that we all know are free agents this summer or could be in KD and Clay. And given the injuries that they suffered, who knows what the impact of that will be moving forward. What's your sense of what this Golden State team looks like moving forward? Did we see the last of what they were tonight?
I don't think you've seen the last, but I think you'll see a delay. Kevin Durant won't be back for the most part next season. The same could be assumed about Klay Thompson because of his injury. And the fact is you've got Dre and you've got Steph Curry. I think you'll see a delayed reaction where they might not win it all or even get to the finals next year, but thereafter, I don't think you have anything to worry about with the Golden State Warriors. They'll be in the championship picture for a few more years to come. It just might be a pause in the action for next season because of the injuries they've sustained and how they'll need to regroup.
And I'm saying if you're Toronto and if Kawhi doesn't stay, I don't care. Masai pushed all his chips in and he won this hand. And if I'm Toronto, that's enough, even if this is it. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree with it. You took a risk for this very moment to capture a championship. You made the bet that if we captured this, it would be worth it. And oh, by the way, it was really to get over the hump and get to the NBA Finals. Well, they didn't just get here, they won it, albeit assisted by a plethora of injuries to the Golden State Warriors. Remember, Iguodala in Game 1, KD before the series began, then in Game 5, Klay Thompson misses Game 3. All of that stuff happened, and Boogie Cousins wasn't himself either. But in the end, you took advantage of the opportunity and you got the job done with focus, with poise, being led by a superstar who reminded us he's a superstar. He played like it. He was worthy of NBA Finals MVP. It was worth the risk because you've received the ultimate reward. No matter what happens, mission accomplished.
You and I completely agree. Stephen A., you wake up early, you do a couple hours of TV, then you go do radio, then you do Sports Center hit specials, and then you come on with me late at night, man. I appreciate you doing it. I know nobody works harder than you. Thank you, and until our paths cross again, stay well, all right, my friend?
My man, thank you so much. It was great working with you with the finals, buddy.
Always.
Great job.
Yep, that's Stephen A. Smith. Raptors set a record along the way. 5 wins by a road team. Look, we saw the Blues last night. Steve Levy saying home ice means nothing in the Stanley Cup. Well, home court didn't mean much when Toronto was involved. The 5 wins tie for the most all-time in a single NBA Finals in this series in Toronto. Celebrates in California, Nick Nurse at the podium.
It was a heck of a 12 months, and I don't know. I just try to take things as they come. You know, you didn't look too far ahead. Obviously, when we made some additions to the team, you know, we thought we could be good, but we had no idea what the health status was and all those things. And again, you just got to go take the guys you got and go play and manage it the best you can, and then look at the opponents and try to figure out a way to beat them. And it was a great group, though. They really played together. I thought they really fought hard. They were tough-minded. They didn't seem like this was wearing on them at all. 2 months of playoff basketball. They never seemed tired to me mentally. They kept wanting the film sessions. They kept wanting to walk through things. They kept wanting to keep learning and improving, and I think that was a big key because we had to do that in the playoff run because we really hadn't had all that much time together.
Steve on the right side on the 4th row.
Steve Ashburner, NBA.com. Nick, every Eastern Conference team that began the season aspiring to get to the finals knew there was a good chance that they would run into the Golden State Warriors. How much does it add to what you guys have accomplished that you beat a team that will be considered one of the greatest in league history?
Well, I mean, first of all, you're right. I think you thought get through the East and the chances were you were going to be playing Golden State. I mean, I probably stayed up late and watched Golden State more than anybody just for the heck of it, right? Just to see what they were doing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It means a lot for our city and the country and for these players, staff. You know, an incredible group of people, my assistant coaches and the support staff. And I don't know if it would have meant any more or any less, to be honest with you. You get the win and you're just happy you got it and celebrate that fact.
As you saw the attrition in their
Nick Nurse, the 5th rookie head coach in the last 50 years to lead his team to the World Championship. Paul West said Pat Riley did it for the Lakers in the early 80s. But it has now happened 3 times in the last 5 years. Steve Kerr, Ty Lue, and now Nick Nurse has joined the list. If you hear me chuckling, it's because I look up to my right and I can see Pascal Siakam. Get yourself together, young man. What? Go ahead and pop that. Go ahead and pop that bottle. Oh, the bottle's been popped. The bottle has been popped. We got Cameroon represented.
It's been going on.
We got goggles. We got hats. We got, and we got world championships. And these are moments when guys sit down to talk on the show with us, when maybe you take a deep breath and maybe it hits you. And if it does, and you realize right now you're a world champion, how do you put in words what that represents?
Oh, man. Hopefully I can talk to you, but
just do your best.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. It's amazing. Great to be here. We worked so hard, and you know, I have the flag with me, Cameroon, being able to represent Africa in general. And you know, it's an amazing feeling just being here and having the opportunity to be at the highest stage and be able to perform like we did and get a championship. So it's amazing. Toronto, all the fans deserve this, so it's an amazing feeling.
You had 26 in this game, hit a huge. I wonder if you could just explain to me sort of the intensity, because as I said to Stephen A. Smith a moment ago, through the first three quarters, it felt like a remarkable game of incredibly high-level basketball. And then the last 6 minutes, it felt like a bar fight, like everyone's out of gas, and it's just truly a will of who can win this game. What are those moments like when a championship is there to be had?
I mean, I think at that time, you know, all the X and O's go out the window. You know, we have to do everything we can. You have to give everything you have to be able to win. And at that time, you know, we were just fighting, and everyone is on the floor diving, trying to get every possession. Every possession counts. So at that time, you know, it's just about who wants it more. And I think, you know, we kind of proved that, you know, we wanted it, and we went out there and took it.
Fred VanVleet's a guy that says bet on yourself, and that's what he's been doing ever since he wasn't picked. Push comes to shove in the fourth quarter. It's a tie game, and he's burying shots that give you guys the lead. What would you say about your belief in him and what he showed the NBA in this game and in these finals?
Yeah, I always say, man, that's my favorite player to watch in the NBA.
Why?
You know, it's amazing, man. The guy, you know, he never seems to be, you know, kind of sped up or anything like that. He always himself, and he always cool. He one of the guys that, man, one of my best friends, and just being able to have this moment with him, man, like at the highest stage, seeing him perform like he did for us was huge. I'm just so happy for him, man. I'm excited for him, and I'm happy. And I know there's a joke around about his kid and all that. You know, that made him happy. But hey, it's amazing, man. That's my guy, man. I'm always happy for him, and I'm just glad that he's on my team.
Pascal, last thought, and you and I covered this a little bit last time. I share with you, I know what it is to lose a pop, and you've talked openly about that. When you have a quiet moment tonight, when the champagne's done, and you're just sitting thinking about Dad, what would your thought be about what tonight would have meant to him?
Oh man, I hope I can, you know, kind of like put it into words. It's incredible, man. I'm so blessed, and I think, you know, when you go through hard times like I did, and him passing away, and me not being able to go home and be there with him. And kind of like, you know, kind of like my whole family telling me to stick to school and my dream and continue to work hard. And moments like this, man, there's not much you can say about it. I wish he was here, and every single day, like I go out there and play for him. I'm just happy that I'm able to keep his name alive, man, and his legacy, and I'm just excited to be part of that. It's I don't know what to say, man. I'm just talking, but. I'm just so happy right now, and I wish he was here. I know my family's excited, you know, and we just so happy for this moment.
You said it beautifully. You can't say it better. They say when a young man loses his father at an early age, he spends the rest of his life trying to make him proud, and undoubtedly you did that tonight. Let me leave you with this. The last three guys with 25 and 10 and a road win that clinches the title are a guy named LeBron, a guy named Dwayne Wade, a guy named Shaquille O'Neal, and now you. So that's the company you're keeping tonight, man. That's the list you're on. Go get into that champagne. Celebrate with your guys. Congratulations on this remarkable step in your journey, Pascal. Thank you for your time.
Man, thank you so much for having me, man. And I'm so always good to talk to you. And you know, thank you, man.
We'll do it again. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
Pascal Siakam, world champion. Champagne. Kawhi Leonard. We'll hear from both locker rooms. You know the deal. We don't know what we're doing. Like, we'll talk to people when they come by. That's what we do. Wow, we the North. Everybody's out. Don't fight. Don't fight. That's just a mosh pit. They're listening to Bare Naked Ladies. Steve's not in here. Steve left. Done it. Who could be someone they could lean on. I'll lead, you follow. I know how to get here. I've done it before, and now they've done it again. You see a finals MVP in a first year with the team. Kawhi, Kevin Durant, Moses Malone, the great and late Moses Malone, and Magic Johnson with the Lakers. And Kawhi Leonard got the hardware in his lap, and he sits down to join me now. And Pascal Siakam was just sitting where you are a moment ago, and I'm always interested, Kawhi, in a moment when you finally get to sit down, away from all the noise. Does it start to sink in right now as you and I are talking, what you and your team have accomplished?
Man, after watching you talk about those highlights and, about the Magic, like you said, it seemed like that was like last year. But it's still surreal right now, Can't wait to wake up in the morning and just reminisce on it and just really think about it and see these highlights against the whole playoffs.
What's the most satisfying thing for you to have brought what you brought to this group who'd never done it, and then to get there together? For you personally, what's most satisfying, Kawhi?
Just making history here, bringing an organization their first championship. It's just something that the Raptors could build on, that we all could build on, and that was my goal. I wanted to get them to the finals their first year. That was all our goal, and obviously once we got here, it was the next step to win it all.
It's easy for me to sit here as I'm doing these highlights and say that you're telling the guys, hey, look, I've done this, follow me. But I don't know. What, if anything, are you kind of telling the fellas about what this is going to be like, the enormity of the stage and things like that, having lived through it and done it?
If you watch my interviews, that's what you'll know what I tell them. But, I'm very humble with, my first finals MVP. I'm not going to come in here and tell a group of players that, I won one, so expect this.
Right.
All I said is, guys, I just told them really about how you got to do media every day and how media is going to be on the court while you warming up for the workouts. So just really be ready for that and have fun. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. You don't know when you're going to get back here. So enjoy the moment. Don't get caught up in what people think you should be doing on the floor. What we have to do once we're in this locker room. And if you score 0 points or, 30 points, just move on to the next game. It doesn't matter. Each game is different. And, that's pretty much what I tell them. Just enjoy the moment and leave it all out on the floor and have fun. This is basketball.
Speaking of moments and being ready for them, Fred VanVleet, with a tie game, takes and makes the three that gives you guys the lead. I was amazed as I look back. He had 14, Kawhi, in the entire series against Philadelphia. He had a dozen in the fourth quarter tonight. Did you all know that this was in him? And are you at all surprised that he showed the world what he was capable of?
In the playoffs, it's all about matchups. So, one series might be someone's series. They have that mismatch, and you have to take advantage of it. So it's going to be your series. Come out there and step up. For Fred during that Sixers series, they are very long. There's a lot of long guys guarding him. It just wasn't his series.
Right.
And he stuck with it. He knew that. He stayed positive. He knew he was going to make shots, and he played better during Milwaukee. And Norman Powell, one of the MVPs of the Milwaukee series as well. He's coming off the bench, scoring 15 points, hitting threes, and and now in the finals, it came back to Fred, and he did his job. He came out in that fourth quarter tonight, played big for us.
If I ask you the strength of the team, and the answer, look, it could be you, and I know you're not going to say me, but the strength of this team, it was in what? Because you guys felt so connected. Like, what would you say that is, the strength?
It's a great group of guys over here. We all enjoy each other's company, and it's no one on here butting heads. And obviously, we all have faith, and we take pride in both ends of the floor. Everyone does. We want to stop our men and give them a bucket on the other end. And when we all are on the same page and everyone is thinking team effort and team basketball, great things happen like this. You don't always win a championship, but
sure.
Those are most likely the teams that are gelling together and make it out.
Let me close with this, Kawhi. I asked you about the strength. Obviously, you got strength from the guys, not the guys, well, the guys and the gals. Everybody at home in Toronto, and I know you can see the highlights, so let me show you the clock hitting 0, and this is what it looked like. And I see the big smile on your face as you see, the joy of a nation. How do you describe just what it means to know what you've given these people?
Man, it's amazing. Like I said, I wanted to come here and make history, get them to the finals, their first finals, do something that never's been done, and now we are all able to just hang a Raptor in ceilings, and it's going to be a big banner. It's amazing, man. Those people did a great job coming out when it's raining, supporting the team, everybody that's in the arena. Man, it's just a great feeling. I'm happy for them, man. I'm happy to just be able to, bring them something special.
Tonight's a night for celebrating and celebrating what you've done individually and what you guys have done collectively. If we think about the time frame for what you figure out what's next, I'm not asking where you're going or what you're doing, but just the time frame to figure out what's next. What does that look like, Kawhi?
Sure, I don't know yet. I'm going to take it day by day. I'm going to enjoy this championship right now. And then, when free agency starts, so you could pretty much
figure it out.
Put the time frame together. Yeah,
Yep, I'll be here.
I'm about to enjoy this.
Understood, yeah. As you should. I'll be here then when we know what the next step is. But for now, this next step is some champagne and celebrating with the team and with your country. I salute your excellence, and I appreciate you sitting down with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. Kawhi Leonard, an MVP once again as the party back home rages on. Calm down now. No destroying of vehicles. People lose their minds, start climbing up light poles and jumping off. Don't hurt yourself. Don't wake up tomorrow with a broken something. Be happy. Toronto's done it. They won the title. Brian Windhorst. He's now. I thought that was after a break. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Scott.
There's so many places to go here. Let me start with that fourth quarter because I've asked some of these guys just to describe it. Once Clay goes down, it felt like a bar fight, and I didn't know how Golden State was going to compete, and yet they did. I'm not surprised that they did, but had they figured out how to win, I don't know how they could have played 48 more minutes. It felt like they were done. Did it feel like that to you?
Yeah, I mean, had the Warriors pulled this game out, what I would have said to you is they didn't win a championship, and they're not going to be recognized as it, but it's something more than just a conference title because being able to force a Game 7 under those circumstances is heroic as almost winning. But they didn't win, and it was close, but they didn't win, and ultimately they just didn't have enough. And you could point to a lot of different things, but it's just misfortune. And I got to say, the surreal situation, Scott, I'm going to remember a lot of things from this finals, but the surreal situation of one day seeing Kevin Durant limping off on crutches, the team doctors looking, ashen, with no color in their face, walking with him, Bob Myers walking with him, his agent walking behind him. And then 3 days later, Klay Thompson, same situation. Another Hall of Famer, future player, champion, limping off on crutches, with the doctors looking like somebody just punched him in the stomach, with the general manager looking, peaked, with his agent walking behind him with his head down. Those two images, I just can't believe that they both happened to Hall of Fame players within a few days period. It's as amazing that this Warriors team got put together. All of the circumstances and things that fell into place was the incredible set of circumstances that led to those two scenes. And it's truly a remarkable story. And I know it hurts right now, but it'll be so memorable because of how that happened.
Brian, think tweet here. Your answer needs to be, your characters are limited because we're going to have to get to a break. I say, like, it felt like there was just no possible way they could send Klay out there no matter what he wanted, given what happened to Durant. Was that the sense you had from their doctors?
Until we know the nature of the injury, I don't even think we can assume that. It could have been a severe enough injury where none of that mattered.
And that's entirely reasonable. That's why it's reckless to speculate. Brian, if this is it, man, thank you. It's been fun as always to talk. Until we do again, be well, enjoy your summer, all right?
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Indeed. That's Brian Windhorst with us on SportsCenter. We will continue. We're with you till 1:30 Eastern Time. More looks from Toronto. St. Louis celebrated last night. Toronto, it's your turn. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. From Akron Wingfoots to today, Goodyear, more driven.
It's really over.
I mean, a lot of different emotions, a lot of thoughts. No regrets at all about, again, what we've been able to accomplish and even how this series ended. So we've had a lot of great memories in this building. I think it's iconic in the sense of our entire history of this organization and how we got to this point. And, you know, whenever I drive by it, I'll have great memories of, again, what we've been able to accomplish in this building. And as we move across the bridge, we want to be able to continue that and create new memories. So hopefully, every fan that was in this building appreciates the journey and the ride. Every fan that was watching how Oakland held us down for 47 years. And turn the page to bigger and better things coming for this franchise.
Tim Legler alongside, as he has been throughout this playoff run, as you and I are sitting here talking about, really a game that's amazing. I keep going back to the level of play before Klay went down. It's as high as it could possibly be. Golden State, you were talking to me about this. They missed 9 free throws. They have 16 turnovers. And they still, after Klay goes down, get a look late for Steph and a pretty clean look for a great shooter. I'm amazed that they even got to that point. Do you share that same thought?
Oh, completely. And I think I look at this game and I think we're going to remember, that the Raptors definitely outplayed them. I'll reiterate that. 288 minutes played in this series. I don't know what the number is, but they outplayed them thoroughly. Far more clean minutes on a part of the Raptors than Golden State.
Totally agree.
Right, no question.
Totally agree.
Yet, despite that, when I'm just looking at, the way my mind works, analyzing a game, I look at this game and, you get a clean look from the greatest shooter that's ever lived to potentially force a Game 7. They missed, we said 9 free throws. I think 7 of those were in the second half. I remember 2 for 2s, 2 splits. The offensive rebounds they gave up late. They had some really bad, careless, sloppy turnovers. So there are so many things that they could have done differently and cleaned up.
Right.
And maybe you're not even relying on a Steph Curry 3 at the end of the game.
Sure.
Because you're in a better position and then we're playing on Sunday. But with what are they playing on Sunday?
Yeah, I have gotten 48 more minutes. I don't know how they would have done. I don't know who they would have gone into battle with. But as we're talking, we're seeing the examples of one of the key points I know you felt was just the bullying on that offensive glass.
Too big, bullied them, threw them around. Too many bodies. Siakam, Gasol, Ibaka, Kawhi, who rebounds like a grown man on the offensive glass. It was just too much. I mean, Golden State plays small lineups as it is, but when you're that depleted, some of those guys are typically out there for your smaller lineups, pretty good rebounders. Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. So you don't even have those guys. It's really a miracle if you think about what they dealt with, that it came down to that in Game 6 to have a chance to play for all of it in a one-game winner-take-all on Sunday. If that ball goes in, it's just incredible.
And this is incredible as well. Steph Curry now 0 for 8 in his career in the final 20 seconds of a playoff game on potential go-ahead shots, and he got a good look, and it goes begging. Kawhi, who we just spoke to, an MVP again, and if you just think back, and it was interesting hearing him say that Orlando series felt like it was a year ago, because it does. You think back and think to what he displayed from that to now. What is this guy as a player?
Man, well, not only that, Scott, think about where he was in terms of public perception with what went down in San Antonio, right? He went from the low point to this a year later, and you got to give the Toronto Raptors credit because, look, to me, they didn't have a choice. Like, it makes sense for a team. If you're ever going to go all in on 1 year, if you're renting a guy, this was the time, this was the guy. 59-win team, you're going to try to stay on top. This is the trade you're going to make. And so DeMar DeRozan, great player, perennial all-star, professional scorer. Kawhi is a different level, right? And you can also say the same thing, honestly, about a guy like Marc Gasol. It's just a step up from Valanciunas, right? They made that move as well. It's just all those little things just got him to another place. And you can't say enough about the experience, the big game experience that Kawhi Leonard has that he brought to the team. And get through those games as a winner, that means an awful lot in that locker room.
And you were on Pascal early. He's 26 in this game, and Van Vliet goes for 22. As a guy that was a 10-day contract guy back in the day, is there a special place in your heart for a dude that didn't get drafted and has been putting bet on yourself on his shirt?
You know that, man. I mean,
just teeing up
fighting through that at the beginning of my career, and playing the CBA and playing in Europe and playing on 10 days when you're shooting a ball like you got a refrigerator on back because you know you got to make the next one or you're not going to see the next 10 days. Fighting through all of those things. At one point, strongly considering, like 2-3 years out of college, like, hey, man, I had some pretty good things going on in the white-collar world. Maybe I should just go do that. I had a lot of pressure from other people in my life telling me that's what I should be doing. I love the game too much. I had too much belief in myself. You talked about it all the time, the bet on yourself. If you don't believe yourself, who will? That was always my mentality. You're going to have to kill me to stop me. And I end up getting, a 10-year career that I'm very proud of, and then been here with you for the last 18. So I'm pretty proud of that, too.
Yeah, and let me reach over and just say thank you. There's nobody better at making us smarter in 2-minute, 3-minute, 4-minute increments than you are. I believe the Jersey Shore is calling.
It is. And last thing I want to say to you, because this means a lot to both of us. We don't have our dads to celebrate on Sunday.
Yep.
But if there's one good thing about this series and tonight, I will be with my kids on Sunday.
Right on.
Father's Day. They were prepared to do something different without
me.
But I know how much you mean to you, so happy Father's Day to you. And you'll see a couple more times, I think, during free agency or something.
Or the draft or something. But just this ends this run, and I appreciate the time. You're
had a blast as always, man.
You're the best.
Thanks,
Tim Legler. All right, coming up. Kyle Lowry getting mic'd up.
They're legendary, but pare it down even further. He joins LeBron and MJ as the only players to do that when the team clinches on the road. And he joins us now. I see your reaction there. That's kind of fancy stuff. Like, what do you react to when you hear that?
I mean, at the end of the day, we got the win. That's all that matters. But that's a hell of an accomplishment. But it's a team game, and I'm glad I was able to be out there with my teammates and get that win tonight.
I looked up a minute ago. You had a towel on you, man. If you're cold, put a towel around you. Nobody, you won the title. You can do whatever you damn well please. Okay, there you go. Put the towel around.
I'm going to do that. I was trying to be, more professional, but
look, no one
I'm freezing right now a little bit.
Have you seen my show?
Just a little bit of champagne.
Nobody cares what you do. You're just come as you are and be comfortable. I just was joking about it.
Right, cool.
I'm going to drop 50 on you, Kyle Lowry. That aggressiveness, it seems different on the road. Why is that?
Because it's a hostile environment, and when you're in that type of environment, your better players got to step up. And I know, the road is like the place you're not supposed to play well, you're not supposed to win. And I love the challenge of being that underdog and going out there and just doing what you got to do to win the game and kind of keeping the crowd out of it and keeping the crowd quiet. And I kind of thrive on that a little bit personally.
This is a great team you were playing. Obviously, we know KD only played for a few minutes, and tonight Clay was spectacular before he went down. But in the fourth, when they're still out there throwing punches, is there a part of you that looks around what is the level of respect you have for those guys, undermanned as they are, still taking you to the final gun?
I mean, to the maximum. The respect level I have for those guys is to the maximum. I mean, Steph, Draymond, those guys came out there, and Andre Iguodala came out there and played extremely hard. But they're champions. They've got 3 rings. They were trying to go for a three-peat, and so they weren't going to go down easy, and they were going to go down fighting. And but have an opportunity to play against such great guys in an organization like that, and we always tip our hats to those guys, and we thank them for the series that they gave us. And for us, we just came out there and just kept going and staying in the moment. So found a way to win games.
We had a great look at that. You're right under the bucket. One of the best shooters in the world is basically naked with a wide open look. And that ball's in the air, man. What goes through your mind?
I honestly, I was like, oh, it's short. And I was just trying to make sure, because I think Cousins was coming down, diving, and I just wanted to try to get a piece of him so I can kind of not give him an easy chance to get the rebound. And when he shot it, when he first caught it, I said, oh, crap, he's wide open. And then when it was in the air, it was a little bit short. And I was just like, just get to a body and try to get this rebound.
Kyle, you've lived all this in Toronto, right? Like expectations come close, come up short. People say, oh, they'll never do it, yada, yada. And now this moment that you've been waiting for, and now it's arrived. I realize that the words will never sum it up entirely, but what best sums up sort of this night, this moment, as you sit there right now?
To be able to say I'm a world champion, that sums it up right there. I mean, it's a group of guys and a group of people that can only say that, and now I'm a part of that group that I can say I'm a world champion, and it's been pretty cool.
I guess so. Last quick thought, because I know you got to go. What's like protocol of what you're allowed to say and do to Kawhi to be like, look, I know July 1st is coming, but like how do you play that? Like what do you even do?
I've never been the guy to say this or that. I'm going to let him. He's going to make a decision that's best for him and his family, and I'm going to be a friend and support his decision. At the end of the day, I want him to be happy, and wherever he chooses to play the next couple of years, I'm going to be happy for him, and I would love for him to be in Toronto with me. So that's my spiel.
Well, there you go. No matter what happens, 2019 is going to say Toronto and Kyle Lowry were world champions. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Until our paths cross, be good, all right?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Scott.
Big.
Fresh off his second Finals MVP performance, Kawhi Leonard will turn 28 at the end of the month. 3 days later, he can go play wherever he wants. His career trajectory has been fascinating. At 21 in his second season in the league, he had an excellent performance in the NBA Finals, but he missed a key free throw that helped Miami complete a miraculous comeback and win the 2013 title. Leonard and the Spurs rebounded immediately. He was the Finals MVP the following year, by which point it was crystal clear this was an exceptional player who was the steal of his draft class. If he doesn't land on Zaza in Game 1 of the 2017 Western Conference Finals, who knows what happens next? He had 26 in that game. The Spurs had a massive lead. Then he got injured. And for all intents and purposes, he never really played for the Spurs again. The last lost season with the Spurs allowed him to drift off the radar, though he really only exists on the floor. We are left to fill in the blanks for most everything else. He keeps to himself, doesn't broadcast his every thought to the masses via social media. What Kawhi thinks about most things, only he knows. What we think about him after this has to have changed, has to have reached a shelf reserved for the very finest players, those capable of impacting every aspect of the game on both ends, because that's what he does. There is ruthlessness in his efficiency and in the absence of emotion he displays in the process. If he was a year-long rental for Toronto, who cares? Like Melo at Cuse, he was there for 8 months. He won your only title, he goes down as an all-timer, maybe the all-timer. For Masai Ujiri, who pushes all his chips into the middle, he won the pot, the prize is a parade, and if they bust next year, again, who cares? You know how hard it is to win? They just did. Now Kawhi has twice, for 2 different teams, MVP of both finals. Only Kareem and LeBron have done that with 2 different teams. Both were #1 overall picks. They were always thought to be in possession of that type of potential. Kawhi went 15 overall. Now he has very, very few peers who could be considered on his level. Who knows what happens next or where? Only him. I'm sure he'll let us know. It'll be basic, nothing over the top. The only thing about the guy that isn't extraordinary to behold. All right, coming up, bottom of the